Table the minutes because we don't have a voting quorum for those that were at.
The old blowers,
This
the
is,
old blowers will go through a foot and a half of snow.
Good
These
catch.
new ones, you get 6 inches and they go right up.
this is your,
This one over here cut a damn tree down for crying out
yeah, but the ours.
6:30.
the
loud.
ours-
Go through this guy.
Yeah, okay. With that, we'll call to order the
Well, the nice heavy ones, they stick
January
right round.
28th, 2025 meeting of the.
I'll ask questions. That's-
First agenda item is our minutes from January 6th, which we're going to have to table because we don't have a quorum of those who are here to review and approve them.
That's quick.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see how quick it can go.
No discussion.
So, okay, next item, we have an A&R application for Emerald Road and Welch Ave.
Could the control room please pull up the plans for the Emerald and Welch A&R, please, and put them on the screen?
Hello,
Is anybody there?
hello.
Hey, if it gets too warm, we'll shut that off. When I came in here, it was freezing, so I turned on the heat.
Leave it
So
on.
if it gets too warm,
Leave it on.
okay, all right.
Is he trying to pull it up?
Jen Oliver's. There we go.
Oh, cool. Hey, thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent.
Okay, so this is a two lots?
Yes.
Two A&R lots.
So I just want to make an announcement. This was the A&R that was mentioned at the end of the last meeting, and what I
So it's
want to
just
check
this
with,
one.
Tim, what I want to check on with town council is if it's okay to approve this as an A&R that also shows the 5 estate lots, and town council says it is okay, as long as I make people aware that the only thing that's being approved from this plan tonight are the lots 2 and 5 that are considered approval not required lots. The other 5 estate lots are not being considered tonight because those are subject to special permits. And right now, we're looking at holding that public hearing probably on the meeting on the 25th for the special permits for those estate lots. So this is all just laying out what the rest of the lots are gonna look at, but the only thing that the planning board is considering and approving tonight are the A&R lots, lots 2 and lot 5.
Do you wanna open it for discussion or?
Yeah.
Okay. My only question is, so you talked to town council, they're good with it. Can we make those notations on an A&R legally?
Well, the reason they get, and that's the question I had for them.
Because that's what's before us. So we're signing off on this, even though I know that the language is in there and I appreciate that, but we're still signing off on this plan of land.
What they told me was that the notations on the remaining lots are not applicable to these 2 lots. So basically, it's not gonna impact the 2 lots that are before the board tonight. So it makes it very clear that A, these have to be subject to a special permit and that no further subdivision is allowed, which is part of our regulations anyway. So they assured me that this was okay to process and approve as an A&R. Because, yeah, they assured me the board's not, and that was my fear, is that by the board endorsing it, they were unknowingly endorsing the estate lots, but they assured me that's not the case.
The only thing, John, I wanted to bring out is the purpose statement I have a problem with.
Okay.
It says, the purpose of this plan is to create lots 1 through 7. It's not what the purpose of this plan's for.
Gotcha. Good
I don't have a
catch.
problem changing that to create lot 5 and lot 2. I'm good with that, but this purpose over here, I had a problem with that that piece of the puzzle.
That's actually a good point. Good catch.
So I don't know, Julian, can we mark that up, or how do we?
Actually, what I've seen done is with the applicant's approval, someone on the board can actually cross it out and make a new notation on the Mylar and the copies, as long as it's endorsed by the applicant.
I was literally gonna make it easy, put lot 2, scratch out through and put and then lot.
Let me just see how it's read.
So I have seen that done before.
Okay. I just,
How about I just cross a line right through that, and that no longer exists?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what we've done.
So let's just,
Okay.
So do we just need an initial from the chair or from each voting
No,
member?
I can,
Nope, you
I
can
can
do it
just
right
cross
here.
it out as the,
yep.
We wanna know, then we don't wanna know.
As long as
This is the Sharpie for that one.
Straight
as long as
edge.
there's no issue, I'm good with it. I just wanted to make sure, cause otherwise.
Just make it look kinda nice. There's no straight edge on that. Use your phone.
Don't get my phone marked up.
I won't like that.
I'm not doing.
Yeah, just make sure it's completely crossed out.
Yeah.
47 and 53. The property line shift isn't
Is
actually.
that working?
Oh, yeah.
Unless
Just gonna
that's
go
the
back and forth.
town. This dotted line is where we're saying the frontage.
No, no longer.
Yeah, no purpose statement needs to be there.
Exists.
Oh, excellent, okay. So here's the regular pen for the
Totally
others.
Yeah.
Yeah, take this for you.
No longer exists.
Let's put this here for you.
I think at least it's a point of clarification.
Yeah.
All right. That's an easy one, Tim.
My last one, Julian, way up there is,
Yeah, why don't you cross out the one on that one too,
Okay.
Julian, just cross out that, there you go.
All right, that's your,
Thank you.
hey, here we go again.
Yeah.
That's the setback, line. As long as you got 200 feet, that's what we got, that's right.
the only question I had is, I can't tell what these dimensions are, cause one says 75, 53, and 47. So I'm trying to figure out that dotted line.
53, 47.
Yep,
See, that doesn't add up to 200,
right,
so.
200.95 is what's listed.
Yeah, so, Julian, I'm fine if the dotted line's 200, I'm good with
That's
that, but I
what
just
that
can't
is.
do the math and find it, that was where I was
That is
struggling.
That is the frontage along that dotted line, and the 53 and the 47. 53 goes to this line,
Okay,
47 goes to that line, and that's the 200 foot along that dotted line.
alright.
So I could add 200 feet on that, because that's exactly what it is, if that makes you feel.
No, I'm just ask the board, I mean, if you're okay with it, I'm just,
That's, we made positive.
I'm
that
asking
that's-
my math major if that makes sense.
See, these numbers don't add up, because they're for this line, this line, this line.
Yeah.
But along the setback line, 30 feet away, that's 200 feet.
So the jog in that goes, you're north 11 degrees, 42 minutes, 52 seconds west. Is that what the road does?
That's what the right-of-way does, yes.
The right away for the town?
The right-of-way for the Emerald Road, correct.
Strange.
Yeah, that's the way it was shown on the previous designs too that were reviewed for
Okay.
the open space.
I'm just kidding, I just
design.
wanted to make, the only reason, Julian, is I just wanted to make sure it was 200 feet there,
Yeah.
that's it, cause I
Yeah.
saw it up in the lot 5, that
I could
200.95.
I could write 200 feet on that, on the Mylar if you want.
No, it's okay, it says it,
No,
it
it
says
says
in the
it up
notes.
top, it says
Oh, okay.
295
Yeah, it already
frontage
says that,
at
that's fine.
setback line,
Oh,
I'm good
there
with
it
that.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it is.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure, cause when I was doing the math, I couldn't figure out where the dot, cause the 47 point set looks like it was going to where it said frontage, and I'm like, why would that be there? So, just looked like I wasn't getting all the numbers put together, but I'm good with that, okay, that's it for me.
That's all I got.
Anything else? Motion to endorse.
I'll make a motion to endorse, the.
Approval
two-
not required plan.
Yeah, the A and R for lots 2 and 5 on Emerald Road and Welch Ave in Rutland, Mass. Map 34, Block B, Parcel 4. With
second?
with a update on the plan of eliminating the purpose statement.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
So just to make everyone aware, the plan that's gonna come forward for these state lots is the same plan. Exactly, except the right side of the plan is gonna change as far as the title box and things like that. So it's the same plan, just different format on the right side. So this is the same plan that you're gonna see at the public hearing on the 25th.
Okay.
So if you could sign those, Tim?
Oh,
Pass
You wanna do
them
the
over.
Mylars though, right?
Yeah, I got the Mylar over here. Why don't you sign the copies first and I'll pass the Mylar around.
Okay.
alright. We signing Sharpie or pen?
I've got a Sharpie.
I can do pen.
And
Has to do today.
That's a regular pen. This is Sharpie. Tim,
Oh, perfect.
that's for the Mylar.
Are we doing Sharpie?
No, just
Changing
for
it
the
up?
Mylar.
That's for the Mylar.
For the Mylar.
Switch.
Yep, okay, I think he's. I don't think it matters, as long as
So you gotta sign that one too.
Yeah, just sign it, all three. Just to make it easy. Thank you. Full good as well.
I'm sorry, that's, yeah, you're right. I'm better than that.
I just got back from Alabama, it was snowing. We had a blizzard.
We've got all three set.
I'm not gonna fold that.
Breezes of snow. Okay, and then the next day,
Got
yeah. It's pretty interesting. Go to Florida. I do. Relax.
Thanks, Julian. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
See you
Jim.
in a couple weeks.
All right.
Okay, next item, we have a discussion regarding site plan review waiver for Toula's House of Pizza signage. And we have, is this Adam?
I am Adam, yes, sir.
Okay, from Mass Signs to explain.
So, with, over at Toula's, literally refacing two signs. That's as simple as it gets, just putting new faces in. The existing light boxes are there in place, and all I'm doing is making.
You had pictures, cool, that's what I wanted to see.
Oh yeah, I brought them just in case, I did, I'm sure.
So you're getting rid of the Pepsi and putting Coca-Cola, correct?
I do work for Coca-Cola, yes.
Oh, man.
Yep.
That's the hook. That's where they get you.
Thanks to the government in World War II, you guys won and Pepsi lost.
So, so as you gentlemen know, any sign in a non-residential zoning district requires a site plan approval from the planning board. So this gentleman is requesting a waiver from the requirement for site plan review based on the scope of the project, as it is just not increasing anything, not moving the signs. It's just basically a new sign with a different logo.
Just a new
Same
faces,
sign with a
that's it.
different logo.
Yep, same sign, same size, same everything, just faces.
I mean, it's a minor.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see it as an issue.
I don't have any comments.
Yeah. I don't see.
I don't know, is that gonna make you go to Tula's more now?
With
Did it
with
hook?
the facility across the way, it should make more people come to Tula's.
So
If
what
you
I,
have Dr. Pepper there, I'm a fan, but if not, I won't.
so the action from the board would be to recommend, to approve a waiver from the requirement for site plan review, and I would give a letter to the building commissioner, so when he goes for his sign permit, Harold would be aware that the board has signed off on, has approved the sign.
Guess I'll make a recommendation for a waiver for Toula's for 2 sign permit applications, to allow them to change the exterior of the signs, with a waiver from the planning board of no site plan review needed.
I'll second that.
It's a recommendation that you made a motion, correct?
Yeah, I made a motion for a recommendation.
I will second the motion. For a recommendation.
I don't know if that works out right, cause do we,
Okay, it's.
We still have to vote on it, right?
Yes, you do have to vote on it.
It's a waiver.
Yeah, it's a
motion
waiver.
to grant a waiver.
grant a waiver, thanks,
Grant
yeah,
the waiver,
yeah,
yes.
So rescind the language to motion.
To grant a
Grant a waiver
waiver,
for,
yes,
from
thanks.
site, for site plan review.
Okay, do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're done.
So you all set? I'll get a letter to the building commissioner tomorrow,
Okay, no problem.
if possible, and then you'll be all set to apply for your building,
Okay.
for your sign permits.
Yeah, sounds great.
Awesome, thanks,
Really
Adam.
appreciate it. Thanks very much.
for coming
Nice
down.
to meet you. Really
Nice to meet
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next item, this is a public hearing.
A continued public hearing.
The marijuana continued?
Yes, we started discussing it on the 14th, and he
Okay.
recommended it get continued.
Okay. So continuation of a public hearing to consider an amendment to Article 12, Section 89C, to amend the marijuana establishments regarding restrictions and prohibitions.
Norm,
So,
just to let you know, I went to Anita and filled out the form that I reviewed the video and signed the form with the clerk that I did my one hearing miss of this, so just, so I can vote.
okay. So, okay, discussion. Anything from the planning board?
I didn't send that to Anita, so I have seen the video, but I didn't send the, so glad you raised that.
Yeah,
I don't know that I can vote. I didn't file it.
That's a good question. If you didn't file your Mullen Rule affidavit,
I did watch it. I asked for the form and I never sent it to her.
now, part of me thinks that if you acknowledge that you reviewed the video, I believe if the board
we can
accepts
put it in
that.
the minutes that we
Yeah.
acknowledged
Yeah, I think
it.
that's okay, and he can file the affidavit
Yeah,
following
Okay,
this
yeah, I
meeting.
don't know.
Yeah, I think that's okay.
I don't know those waters, but.
Yeah, cause I've had experiences where a board member has filed an affidavit after the fact with the town clerk, just to make it official, but yeah, I believe the board can authorize you to vote on this with the statement that you reviewed the footage and the hearing from the last
Yeah.
meeting.
I don't know, like I said, I don't know those waters, so.
Yeah. So,
I think
so
we can
Tamika, if
accept
you could
that.
just note that in the minutes that Britton acknowledged that, thank you.
Okay, that done with, discussion. Board first.
I watched, like I said, I watched the hearing last week. I listened to everybody's comments, including the public's. And again, this is me personally, I'm not speaking for the entire board. I just have a problem moving forward with this article due to the fact that the town has voted once on this identical article and said no. So me personally, I can't bring something up in a special town meeting. I would probably be okay, maybe more if this was in a town meeting when we're having the entire town there, or have the potential for the entire town. But a special meeting, I think the town voted on this, and said no. The planning board gave its recommendation then, and the town still voted it down. We give a favorable recommendation for it. Town voted it down, and I've gotta stick with the town on this one, so I'm not apt to vote this to go forward. So-
Just to let you know, when you're ready to open it up to the public, Leah has her hand
Yeah,
up.
okay.
Thanks.
Yep, that's just my opinion.
Britton?
I
Look at
would,
that.
I would agree 100%. To me, this, my biggest issue is not what's presented, it's sort of the how and why we got to here. We're asking the town to create an emergency, basically, an emergency town meeting for something that failed 8 weeks ago. Now, I know that there are some that have expressed, well, we didn't get the vote we wanted because we didn't get the turnout and people left early. Well, that's voting. To say, well, we didn't get the results we wanted, so let's get it back in there immediately, right away. We've reviewed this before. I don't see any changes from what we had already issued our recommendations for and then applied to the town, and then town voted it down. I don't see any change, so. I'm not a big fan of supporting this because of that.
I don't know, I guess I have some sort of similar concerns more than anything that, this will be coming to probably to a town meeting where you might be lucky to have 20 people attend,
That's no problem.
you know, as opposed to the annual town meeting or even a fall town meeting. So, I'm not gonna say I'm a no, but I have some real serious reservations, so. Anything else from the board?
Other than Norm, I could probably have a tad bit of a different opinion if this was a citizen's petition. But since it's from the town redoing Article 10 from the fall town meeting, I can't support it because the town voted, I know it was only a couple votes, I get that, but it was voted down and that's where I stand on it.
Anything from the public present?
Can I ask a question? Is it the
Excuse me,
same?
could you introduce yourself, name and address, please?
I'm sorry, yep, that's true. Jen Forleo, 207 Pleasantdale Road. Is it the same exact article, like there was nothing changed on it from when we?
Yes, it's the same language from Article 10, yeah, it hasn't changed.
Okay, so then, yeah, there's definitely, I think, a problem with that. And then even if it were to go through, something I think to consider as we go forward in putting businesses in the town is that, I think I had said this last time too, is that we just had one business open. And if we're, less than a year in and we're welcoming the same business in before one gets established, what are we saying to businesses that wanna come open? Just, hey, come on in, we welcome you in your business, but we're gonna let competition open almost immediately before you get really your roots in the ground and everything. So I think that's something important to start thinking about as well. But yeah, if it's the same exact article, then if nothing's changed, it's kind of already been decided.
Anyone else from the public here in the audience? Leah, I see your hand up.
Leah Whiteman, 208 East County Road. I'm also the chair of the select board. I'm speaking first as the select board. I just want to make sure that it's understood that the select board has the authority at any time to call a special town meeting, for whatever reasons. And there was a lot of conversation, and planning board was involved in those conversations going forward with the special town meeting. That's the end of my select board piece. From as a resident, I struggle with the fact that we are looking at a projected multi-year budget deficit, and here we have an opportunity to potentially allow another business to come in that could generate a 3% tax revenue for the town on the retail sales, and we're not amenable to that because we don't like the process. Process was very frustrating in the fall.
Lost her.
What happened?
Leah, can you hear us?
So I just want to make sure that we're separating out what the intent of the article is versus the process. There were options. There were 3 different options for the language for this article, this particular article for this particular special town meeting that was discussed at a board meeting, a joint meeting with select board and planning board. This was the language that especially the planning board, but also the select board chose to move forward with. So again, there were other opportunities for language. This was the language that both boards combined agreed upon. So I'm a little challenged there. I also see we have 2 pizza shops that are very in close proximity to each other. If Rutland House of Pizza were to open again, if a business wanted to come in and open another Rutland House of Pizza, are we going to say, oh no, like economy's tough and Toula's is having a hard time and we shouldn't allow that? Or we have Coffee Lands and Baked Dolce Vita there, semi-close in the center of town. Did we say no, we're not going to allow that because we don't want to have one in Dunkin' Donuts also? and with Dippin' Dots over? Are we going to pick and choose which businesses? I think we as a town need to be mindful if we want to be pro economic development and encourage business to come in, then we need to let business decide a little bit on their market. For anyone that's not familiar, this would just allow an opportunity for another retail license to be issued. It's not a guarantee that it would be issued. It would still have to follow the special permitting process through planning board. And the original citizens petition proposal was across town from where our current retail site has opened. If you look at Worcester and other communities, they have many retail shops in close proximity to each other, and that's kind of the free market and capitalism. So I really encourage the board, the planning board, to look at it from a policy standpoint as far as the increase in the number of retail licenses only, and have it out with the select board about the process, but don't hold up something because you don't agree with the process, where there were many, many, many missteps in the fall that got us to this particular point.
Norm, I don't have a problem with the process. I have a problem with the town voted no, end of discussion.
Right, this isn't, yeah, and to piggyback on what you just said, this isn't a planning board decision, this has already been voted down. So it's not like Toula's came in and said, hey, let's, to her example that we've just used, the town said no. Now, whether that vote was the way you wanted it to go, it is what it is, but to present the same article twice in 8 weeks or 9 weeks or whatever it is from our last town meeting, just, I can't wrap my head around that. And, we talk about business and bringing them in, and we're all for that, nobody here's against that, but the town said no. The town said no.
Leah has her hand back up.
Okay, just like to ask the two of you, would you feel comfortable if it were to come to the annual town meeting this spring?
I could probably have more of a, what's the word I'm looking for?
You'd be more comfortable?
I would be more comfortable having the entire town there, having a vote on it than a small portion of people, because again, we did a fall town meeting, which was relatively good turnout, and it was voted down no. If we came to a fall town meeting, which I'd mentioned in the dual meeting that we had with the select board, that was my suggestion of do it in the spring town meeting. I would probably be more comfortable letting the town think about it again, but this within, and Britton's right, I'm not doing my math, but November, December, January, so within 2.5 months, we've got this back on. And again, I'm not so worried about the words and how we changed it. The bottom letter of the law is we're going from 1 to 2, and the town said no. So my thought process is I say no, because the town said no. If we want to bring this back up to the entire town in a spring town meeting, that's another discussion. But
May I just make a comment about the turnout? My only hesitation with that comment, Tim, is that even at an annual town meeting, we get 0.1% of our population there.
well, if we have this meeting over here with the maximum of 90 people, that is 0.01%.
We had 42 people at special town meeting,
Well,
so.
and they voted no, right? So if we do the percentages, there's a high percentage that's gonna get voted no to. Anyhow, that's just my opinion.
Actually, the turnout at this last time meeting was, I think, around 100, wasn't it? At this last special, November
I don't-
21st?
It was 50.
No, excuse me. No, I thought it was like 90 to 100, I thought.
I don't remember I don't, is Deb Carlson? No, I was thinking, I was looking to see if Anita was there, but I saw Carlson, I thought it was Anita.
Okay, Leah?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry. I hear that. I also have heard, and I don't have it obviously documented, that the petitioner was told that he could not speak to Article 10 at the special town meeting and then was not able to speak to Article 11 because we weren't able to make any take any action on Article 11 because public hearing wasn't held. So I think that in trying to do right by the petitioner, the select board opted to call a special to provide an opportunity for the petitioner or any other residents to speak to the article. And as I had mentioned, the KP had actually our town council had actually provided 3 different options and had said that even based on very recent AG feedback, this article, the language in this article was probably going to get a flag, just a warning from the AG that it's going to need to stay on planning board's radar, that if the number of the select board and planning board's radars, that if the number of the population increases such that the number of liquor licenses increases, then this would have to be revisited also. So, and they kind of had encouraged one of the other article options, but again, the consensus among both boards, planning and select board, was to move forward with this language, which was what was presented, yes, at the previous meeting, but the petitioner was told that he couldn't speak to it, but then wasn't given an opportunity to speak to his citizens petition article either. So I think that the conversation at the select board had been that this was trying to make whole a petitioner who didn't actually have a chance, the kind of quote unquote second chance that the petitioner thought he would have when he agreed to agree to have a town article on as well.
Okay. Anyone else remotely who wishes to comment? I hear nothing. Once again, anything from those present? Well, gentlemen, what's your thoughts?
If we close the hearing and we're moving, if we close the hearing, then we have to make a recommendation after that hearing, correct?
I would suggest yes, we do, yes.
Okay. I'm just putting it out there for the board.
And that's not a bylaw subcommittee review, right? Correct?
What?
Yeah, the bylaw
doesn't
subcommittee.
need- yeah. I do have one question in regards to, are there such thing as seasonal liquor licenses? And how do those factor into this amount
They do not factor into our.
at all? So the seasonal doesn't count towards the percentage. So we can give 100 seasonal liquor licenses if we wanted to. Okay, just to clarify. And that doesn't change this.
Well, I'm sorry, Britton, to clarify, there is a quota on seasonal liquor licenses, they're not unlimited, but that number in the quota does not count towards the off-premise retail quota
Towards
that
the
the state is
off-premise
using.
for
Yes.
this bylaw, or
Correct,
this
it's in a separate category.
article, excuse me,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So since we have 2 options here, we could continue the public hearing, which I don't know if that makes any sense. We'll close it and make a recommendation.
If I may, I have one other comment, if I may.
Yes.
Thank you. I guess my other question is, this still feels very much kind of like it's more of a process concern than an actual what could be the most benefit or not from the town's perspective. And I guess I look back to this exact same article had received a favorable recommendation from Planning Board, Finance Committee, and Select Board 8 weeks ago. And now it sounds like Planning Board is leaning towards a non-favorable recommendation because of the process. And I guess I'm looking at it as far as is the option for this zoning going to be significantly detrimental to town, or is it going to not? And that's, I think, a planning board question that planning board needs to answer. But I still, to me, it feels very much that it's more of a process concern than looking at it from the zoning standpoint of things, of increasing the number of licenses. Thank you.
I don't agree that it's a process thing.
It's not, it's already been voted down.
That's
That's my issue.
That's kind of the thing that.
We can talk about process and this and that, and we presented this exact same language 8-9 weeks ago, failed. It's not about what the planning board wants or doesn't want, like this failed and I'm not in favor of this at this point.
Jen Forleo, 207 Pleasantdale Road again. As a resident and not on any of these committees, I don't see it as a procedural thing. I see it as we have voted. The town residents have voted on this previously. We have said no, so bringing the same exact thing forward again. At some point, if you just keep sending it forward, people are gonna stop voting, period, and then you're gonna get your way. At this point, if it's not changed, maybe change it a little bit or something, but just to continuously send it forward is, there's no point, you already got the answer. But I don't see the procedure thing.
So I don't know, I don't see a disaster if it comes back again in May. You know, it's.
If I can just clarify, just for the president, just so that it's understood that regardless of the recommendation that the planning board makes tonight, the meeting will still happen. So the
Right, no, I
voters are still
understand
gonna vote
that.
on it. Okay,
I
just wasn't
understand
sure
that,
if-
but she's saying that the reason why she thinks they're going to not vote favorably is because of the procedure problem. And I'm just saying, I don't see it as a procedure problem from what I'm standing as a resident here looking at this. I'm seeing people who are concerned because this has already been brought to the residents and they've already voted it down. So I applaud them standing up for what the residents have already voted on, so. But I don't see it as a procedural issue at this time.
I also just wanna emphasize, we only make a recommendation.
Correct, Norm, I get that.
It still gets voted on.
It still goes to the voters.
Yep.
So the board can do one of three things: vote favorable action on the article, vote unfavorable action on the article, or vote no action on the article.
Yep.
Now, if the board votes unfavorable action and it gets defeated at the special town meeting, then it can't come back for 2 years.
Correct. The other thing, Norm, I wanted to, because our procedure is typically to go to the bylaw subcommittee. Since we're having dual meetings and the three of us are all on it, I consider the vote that we're gonna do today and the recommendation, the bylaw subcommittee's behind it, because the three of us are gonna say the same words that we would say in the bylaw subcommittee, so I just wanted to put that in the meeting minutes that we're having a dual, and I think, John, you posted that.
Yeah, it was posted as both.
There's a dual bylaw subcommittee meeting, so I apologize, I should probably open that up, is that official?
Yeah, you can
Same
open.
hearing.
Yeah, same hearing.
Same hearing, yeah.
Okay,
So can I just ask a question for clarification? I thought that the bylaw subcommittee had already reviewed it this second time around and referred it back to the planning board. When this all came back around again?
no, we never had a meeting,
No.
I thought-
No, it never officially went to the bylaw subcommittee.
correct?
Article 10 did not go to neither did, because one was a citizen's petition that came in after the
Yep.
fact.
No, but I mean, that
But
since
this
it
new
came
one-
back again, I thought it went to
this
the planning
one-
board bylaw subcommittee
No.
meeting and then referred back to the planning board.
No, I don't believe so.
Cause the first time the planning board saw this was last meeting,
Right.
and there hasn't been any bylaw subcommittee
hasn't.
meetings between then and now.
Well,
But-
I thought you guys met on the 20th and you guys got this back on January 6th when you had the joint meeting with the select board.
No, either way, if you wanna open up this bylaw subcommittee meeting right now, we can do it.
Yeah, I
Alright,
just,
so you're gonna open it right now?
yeah, just let's open it now, and then, what I'll do before we're in the middle of a hearing, so I'm not sure how to do that.
Well, you can open it right now.
That's part of discussion.
As part of
Yeah.
discussion, open up the meeting of the bylaw subcommittee.
meeting, yeah.
But we didn't put that on the public notice
No, it's on the agenda.
for the
For the whole agenda, it's a joint meeting.
bylaw subcommittee to be opened?
Yes, it's planning board / planning board bylaw
Okay,
subcommittee.
all right, that's fine, yeah, just
Yeah.
asking,
Yeah.
just asking.
Yeah, so, I guess before we close the hearing as as a subcomponent of the planning board.
We're doing order of operations,
Yeah.
mathematical parentheses.
I'm gonna have Norm help me out with this, 'cause,
Just call the order of the bylaw subcommittee
I'll just call the order of the bylaw subcommittee,
at,
at, 7:10.
very good. With that, do we have any further discussion on this thing? Then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Or continue it, I don't think we wanna do that, but
Yeah, I'm struggling with that one.
My only concern is the affidavit thing. I didn't send that in before the hearing. I don't know if that's a mechanism or
I think you're
I
fine.
think you're
Okay.
okay with
You're
that.
fine.
I'll defer to those who know better, but.
Yeah, but make sure you
Yeah.
submit the
And I did,
affidavit.
and I have watched it. I just wanna make sure that those i's are dotted and t's are
It's
crossed.
ultimately, it's up to, if it's a public hearing, up to the applicant and the board. There's no applicant at this point, it's just the board.
But
So-
it's a select board, I mean, they're, right?
Well, no,
They
it's a
would-
planning board, because you're
Well, yeah,
acting with the
okay,
planning
all right.
board, so, yeah.
I guess before
Play
making a
Jeopardy
motion, Norm, wanted to ask from the bylaw subcommittee, this is a tough one. My thought process as the chairman is, I've seen it, I reviewed it, but I wanted to put it out to the three of you. Do we just, send it back? Cause we've done this before on the bylaw, send it back to the planning board to make their final decision without any recommendation. We reviewed it, we don't have any changes to it, we're sending it back to the planning
Yeah.
board.
Yeah.
So that's what I guess, I'll make a motion from the bylaw subcommittee
Yeah,
to send
close
that
that.
back and to close that out from the bylaw subcommittee. So we're doing our process.
Okay.
And then that way, when this hearing gets closed, it's been referred back to the planning board.
I'll buy that.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
okay,
Did you make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay.
So-
Any discussion on the motion?
It's,
So no discussion, I'll ask for a vote on sending it to the planning board. I say aye,
Aye.
3-0, okay.
So with the planning board.
Now it's the
another-
planning board's turn.
Another option you have is to.
thank God they gotta deal with it.
Another option is to recommend that it be sent back to the sponsor, which is the select board, for further study. That way it can come back in May.
KP did say we can do that.
You can
Send
do
it back to committee.
Yes, send it back to send it back to the sponsor or whatever for the further study.
But John, can I ask what the purpose of that would be in this case? I don't,
Tamika, I don't know, I'm just saying that's their option.
Yeah, because that happened at a.
Well, the purpose would be if they want it to go to the May town meeting, it would allow it to go to the town meeting. If they vote it down, then, and it doesn't pass a town meeting, it's dead for 2 years. This opens up the possibility of
It's a
something in May.
mechanism to allow it to still be
It's leaving
used.
their options open.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
can also
we did that with the growth management bylaw, just to give a quick explanation, when that came before the town, we weren't sure what to do, and we still had our meeting open, and I talked to KP, cause the night before I'd seen what Congress had done by referring it back to committee, which wouldn't kill the growth management bylaw.
Correct.
But it'll give the committee the ability to review it and maybe make some amends to it, and then bring it back to town meeting.
but I guess my question is what the planning board would be looking for from doing that, cause you've already met jointly with the select board, town council has thoroughly reviewed it, so what would the planning board be looking for to happen before town meeting in a week and a half?
Not necessarily anything, it's just to maintain the possibility that it could go back at a May town meeting if it fails at special town meeting. If they vote it down, if it unfavorable action, then it's gone for 2 years, and if it fails at town meeting in
Yeah.
next week.
But if we recommend no action, that doesn't kill it for 2 years.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I know.
So I guess there's two options
I know.
for that.
God, this is a tough one.
Is there any possibility that the select board would be amenable at all? I mean, I know we have Leo on the line. to have this be at a May town meeting?
Cause what could happen is, and again, I don't wanna speak for them, is that if we send it back to their committee, they could, recommend at the February sixth meeting, is that when it is, February sixth? To take no action on this article. And then potentially get it referred back to the get it referred to the May meeting. I don't know, I'm just scenarios. But to John's point, if we unfavorable recommendation, and this does get defeated at town meeting again, this party's over for 2 years. And, I'm not sure I'm willing to do that.
I think that's the best option.
I don't wanna say no action, because then that's basically saying I'm taking a neutral when I'm not neutral on this one.
Ride the fence.
Yeah, see, that's the
can't do
trouble I've
that.
got. Do we keep it open, Norm, and have a discussion with the select board on?
You could also keep it open so we could check with town council
Yeah.
to see if you vote no action or refer it back to sponsor, if that nullifies it for 2 years if it doesn't pass. So I could verify with town council that before the board takes a vote.
Half of me says that's probably the better way to go, instead of just saying no to this and killing it right now. I don't say killing it, but saying no,
And then
no
it goes
action.
and then it doesn't pass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's sort of the lesser of two evils, Norm, I don't wanna do the wrong thing, but I don't wanna knee-jerk reaction and kill this either. If there's an option to send it back to select board and maybe get this pushed, I mean, I know for a fact in that meeting when we were together, I said, I'd rather have this in the Maytown meeting. And Dick had said, move it to March, if I remember the exact
For the
wordage.
public hearing, you wanted to continue to March.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if we do that, though, you have a special town meeting, and we don't have any recommendation, good, bad, or indifferent, what does that do?
It could still, well,
There would be, on the planning board recommendation,
the planning board has to
It would have
recommend
nothing.
something.
It would have nothing if we kicked it
In order
back.
to satisfy the requirement under Mass General Law, the board has to recommend some kind of action.
Yeah.
so, but what I'm asking is if we kick it back, meaning we haven't made any recommendation, I think, cause that's, one of the options that was presented, unless I'm misunderstanding. How would that look for between now and the meeting?
No,
And the
if-
vote?
If you don't make any recommendation, that does, from what I understand, that does not satisfy Mass General Law for holding a public hearing. You have to make some kind of recommendation, either favorable, unfavorable, recommend no action, or refer back to sponsor.
No action is what I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
Britton. If we recommended no action, that would be the neutral solution.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what that does to the 2 years, that's what I need to check with town.
Yes, and that's what I was getting at, John, about.
Yeah.
Does that, I don't know. The town voted it down, and that's why I'm stuck on that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna ride the fence on this one, I'm unfavorable. So unless we're willing to look at it later down the line at a regular town meeting, I can't flip flop. I can't ride the fence on this, it was already voted down 8-9 weeks ago, I don't like it. As a citizen and as a planning board member. It's already been voted down, it's the exact same language, the exact same presentation. The town said no, and I'm not gonna vote favorable for something that they voted no on 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago. I can't, that makes no sense to me. So unless there's an option to do some, staying within the requirements of kicking this down to a regular town meeting instead of this needing a decision tonight, I'd be more amenable to that, but at this point right now, I'm unfavorable.
May I ask a question from my
Yep.
perspective? I'm just interested in your perspective, Britton, and Tim too, cause it sounds like you guys share the same opinion. I hear what you're saying, that you are not in support of it right now because it was voted down at the special town meeting. I guess my question is, why do you feel that you would feel differently about that decision if it was taken up 3 months from now? It wouldn't change the fact that they still voted no at special.
Go
ahead.
I would hope within those next couple months that we might think about do we wanna be the sponsors of this, or do we want the citizen who's doing it to bring a citizen's petition for the special town, or for the spring town meeting? That's what that's my, the town voted down an article that the town put up in front of the town people. If a citizen wants to do that same type of article, and this time bring it as a citizen's petition and let it work through the process, I'm okay with that.
So be it.
Then I'm fine with that. But we as a town got in the way of the citizen's petition, and that's what, in my mind, would cause the whole tripping and falling of this mess. And again, that's the process, and I don't wanna talk about the process. What I wanna talk about is what's right now. The town voted down what happened in the fall. We're trying to put it through, either to fix it, whatever. I say no. That's my opinion, I say no. If a citizen was to bring back something similar to this at the Springtown meeting, I would be apt to support that citizen's petition at that time. That's sort of what I'm trying to, from the big picture, explain. The town bringing this back right now as a town article, I don't agree with.
And what I'm not sure about is, say this does get defeated at town meeting as a select board sponsored article. If he brings it back as a citizen's petition, can he do that within the 2 years?
I don't know that.
That's another thing I'd have to check with town
Probably,
council
because it's a citizen's petition.
Yeah.
But I'm just,
Because even if it's the same language, if it's by a different format, if it's a different method,
Correct.
would that not fall under the 2-year moratorium? I'd have to check on that.
I mean, Norm, I know from Tamika's standpoint, if we don't give a recommendation now, it's not gonna go in the documentation that goes before the town on February 6th. But we can still have our hearing open until that town meeting and typically we have our meeting before the February 6th meeting. We could make a recommendation by now, but and it would give John time to get in touch with KP and get us some feedback. I'm just trying to, we've been squashed into this timeline, and now we're trying to work around it. I mean, anyhow, so I'm just putting this out to the board. Do we give John a chance to run a couple of these scenarios by KP and give us more information so we can make an informed decision? Or do we close the hearing and just trottle forward?
Okay, let's see, we can't, well, okay, if we close the hearing, then we can't get any more information even from you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why,
So,
Can't accept any
I mean,
testimony.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearings to give the ability to John to have a discussion with KP to get us more information. So we can, have an opportunity to let the applicant, which isn't part of this immediate discussion, but it's sort of the overall premise of where we're at. Have them the ability, and we're not,
what our decision would affect.
yeah, how it would affect his potential to come with a citizen's petition. I don't wanna, excuse my language, hog tie him, because we made a bad decision. And I really need legal counsel to tell us that, cause I'm not a lawyer, I don't know what's
So there are
gonna
two
happen.
things I'd wanna find out exactly what each vote would mean in terms of
Correct.
as far as town meeting and potentially a moratorium, and then secondly, if it is defeated and it comes back in a different format but with the same language as a citizen petition rather than a sponsored article by the select board, does that fall within that moratorium? Is he allowed to do that?
Yep, that's it. So that's my motion to continue hearing until February 6th at 6 o'clock.
7.
Or no, you guys are, it's at,
Actually, we usually open it up a little bit before. How about if we say 6:45?
okay,
The town meeting starts at 7.
town meeting starts at 7?
Yes.
Let's be there, and I know I'm being rough, like at 6. I'd rather have an hour at least an hour or half an hour to talk about this, just in case.
Tim,
Okay.
I just wanna remind you, you have your RDIC meeting at 6 that evening
Oh,
that everybody
crap.
agreed to. I'm posting select board and finance committee for 6:30 that night.
Okay, let's do 6:30 then. We'll, on the town meeting. And I'll just have to tell Mike, I gotta move. Dick and I both, well, Dick won't be there, cause he's gonna be in Florida, so it'll just be me.
okay.
You'll be skiing?
He's skiing in
Okay, I
Florida.
have a motion, do I have a second?
I will second said motion.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, next item. We now have a public hearing on the petition, the House Country Market, on behalf of the owner, Ken Labelle, for site plan review for a retail business on property identified as 217 Barre Paxton Road in the Village Center District. This is a continuation from January 14th.
Before
Yep.
we start, I feel the need to bring the board up to date on something that came to light this morning regarding this application. So it was brought to light this morning that the application that was submitted was signed by both the applicant and the property owner. However, I found out today that that was not the property owner's signature. It was signed by the applicant on behalf of the property owner. So in consultation with town council, an affidavit was delivered to my office this afternoon, it's in the file, from the property owner, Ken Labelle, that authorized the applicant to proceed with the application on his behalf. Town council has verified that now that issue is resolved, and the planning board can move forward with the application. So we do have somebody attending virtually who, whenever you'd like to recognize them, would like to add some information regarding the application and the ownership of this property for consideration by the board.
Okay, I guess, first of all, from the board.
Norm, I just wanted to also get in record that I filled out the paperwork for Anita for this hearing too. That I signed it and reviewed the types. And my mulligan guy over here is gonna say the same thing.
I did watch it, I just didn't get the paperwork.
So I just wanted to make sure that I can continue with this hearing.
Okay. Okay, any other comments on the application from the board?
Well, as long as town council was good with the submitted application and the affidavit, then I'm fine.
Tim?
The tough part I have is, when I was watching the tapes from the last meeting, there was discussion about, using the well, and I wanted to clarify what was gonna be used from the well. Is it gonna be just watering of plants, anything like that? So Norm, I guess I'm asking the applicant to clarify that, because I understood when I first watched it, there was gonna be no water used, and then I got the impression that there was gonna be some water used, so I just wanted to get that clarified for me.
Barre Paxton, 43 Barre Paxton Road, Rutland, Mass. Water on premises will only be used for watering plants, which we will also be working hand in hand with the Board of Health to make sure that everything is on par. I've already had a meeting with the Board of Health once. Once we get the go-ahead, he's gonna sit down with me and go over what our limitations are with it being a contaminated site and so on and so forth.
Okay.
But I have met with him once already.
A follow-up question, does the Board of Health have any, and I'm not a water guy, any documentation of any contaminants or what's in that well or anything like that?
So, property owner has actual water tests.
Okay.
Where the water actually does not test contaminated.
Okay,
This is a dirty site from many, many years ago when it was a gas station.
yep.
Realistically, in Massachusetts, under the state law, it can test clean today, but it's still a dirty site because it has not been removed.
It's because there's a time limit on that, and testing and all that, test wells, yeah.
As well as we would also be doing our own water test before
Okay,
actually physically opening with produce plants and stuff like that.
excellent, thank
In
you.
terms of other plants, it has no bearing on flowers and stuff like that.
Okay. Norm, is that something we can put in our, and this is for Norm or John or both, can we put in our site plan review as part of our site plan approval? As one of the conditions that get Board of Health documentation, is that something we can or can't do?
Defer to Board of Health. or-
I believe it's actually gonna be a Board of Health requirement.
Okay.
You can still put it in there.
Yeah, you just put it in there.
I just wanted to make
It's not
sure,
overstepping.
yeah, that's what I was trying to do. I didn't wanna overstep, but I wanted to make sure we got our i's dotted and t's crossed for this site. Cover that, that's all I was
So
asking.
verification that the water on the site is able to be used for watering
Yep,
of.
from
For
Rutland's Board of,
consumables.
yeah,
Right, the flowers isn't an issue, it's,
yeah,
and either way, if we cannot do that, we'll just drop the vegetable
okay,
plant portion of it.
excellent, that's all I had, Norm.
Okay, I guess my only concern is to make sure that line of sight out to 122 is maintained. And I think probably this approval should contain a condition that just states, okay, that the line of sight must be maintained. In other words, that any of the displays or that sort of thing do not interfere with the line of sight.
We don't wanna see trees at that corner on the edge of the road where that may impede traffic or people turning.
So, along with the line of sight, I understand that, but I just wanna clarify that the only line of sight that actually matters is at the stop sign. Because cars do not need to see what's going on 122 from 5 cars back. Every car is required to stop at that stop sign. So as long as their line of sight is not obstructed at the stop sign, which is a law that they have to stop and look both ways. Further back line of sight should not be an issue.
Well, if I'm looking at this drawing correctly, this is through Norm. I've got 3 potential driveways where cars are gonna be coming in and out, so I'm gonna need line of sight there to make sure nothing's in the way of those 3 driveways.
Correct.
Cause I need to be able to look up 122A.
So we only have 2 driveways that are gonna be accessible. If you look at that site plan, driveway right in front of the building will not be accessible because it is a handicap parking spot.
Well, no, I have an existing driveway that shows access to Pleasantdale, and this is per your site plan. And then I have one from the existing building, existing driveway onto Route 122, and then immediately following onto Route 122, so that's 3.
So again, this whole site plan is not in, so you've got a site plan for that whole property, that's not our site plan. Our site plan includes,
Okay, hang on.
can you pull it up? on the board and I
Pause,
can
yeah,
show you?
can we bring that up?
Yeah,
'Cause-
could you please bring up the site
No, I'm
plan for?
confused.
oh,
This
hold on,
isn't-
Tim. Brent, hold on.
No,
Could you please pull up the site plan for 217 Barre Paxton Road on the screen?
no, I see 3 driveways. Actually, it's 4, 1, 2.
One of them's not a driveway, it doesn't go through.
So they don't show that one.
Oh,
They do, there's definitely 3.
Okay,
Okay, so this is the existing building.
yep,
None of this has anything to do with us. This is us. This is all that is on our site plan. This driveway, building, handicap spot, driveway. This rest of this is just the property.
okay,
That is not our site plan. Our site plan is this, which is gonna be our exit onto Pleasantdale. This, which will be entrance from 122. They're both gonna be labeled as entrance only, exit only.
To that point, Mark, hold on.
This will be
Mark, before you
handicap
continue.
spot.
Another condition of approval that I would like to see is on these plans, indications that that is entrance only off of 122, that is exit only, and it should show a sign that's gonna be put on the site saying something along the lines of, do not enter from the road, or
So we're
something.
okay with that conditionally before opening, and those signs will be in place before we open.
okay, good.
I just don't feel that it's something that needs to. I think we can put it in there as conditionally to open. I don't feel that it's something that needs to be
Well, that's gonna,
physically drawn out.
well, that's gonna be a board decision with all due respect.
Right, I agree, and I'm just
Mark.
bringing that up to the board.
So, the other thing is, to Britton's point, you could say that that's not part of your site, but what's to prevent people from using that driveway? You could say that's not part of your site, but what's to stop people from using those driveways, those access points to access your business?
I don't know. We'd have to put a, as part of our decision,
those would have to be spelled out that they're not to be used for business purposes.
Yeah, that's all.
If
That's all we do.
if they're gonna be used for business purposes, i.e. deliveries or trucks, because that's a good term, that's a great way to get trucks in and out, then if that's not part of the proposed site plan, I have a hard time believing that those two entry points aren't gonna be used.
Well, I can
So
tell
we
you for,
can't, that's part of the
Mark,
bus
Mark,
company.
Mark. Wait to be recognized, please.
Britton, I can tell you for a fact, at least from my knowledge of driving up there, where that says existing driveway by Pleasantdale, that's usually parked with buses.
It's gravel, well, but they're also all the way in the back.
Yeah, that's true
There's a
too.
lot of parking there.
Okay.
And delivery, and then also the existing driveway between the two existing buildings that we're saying one is part of the site plan, but the other isn't, off of Pleasantdale. That doesn't show the curb cut and access to Pleasantdale, that shows it actually is cut off in this plan. So that's actually not being shown as an access. So if, as the applicant is saying, his scope is limited to what he just showed us, on this, there's only one in and out.
Oh, yeah, there's no curb cut on that, you're right.
Yeah, there's no radius, there's nothing there, so that existing driveway, and again, I'm just going off the plan, which is what we have to go off of, so our decision must read as so.
And we could make a note in the site plan that that's gotta be showing existing radius.
What's that?
See where it says existing driveway right next to between the two existing buildings?
Mm-hmm.
What Britton's saying is, see where it says landscaped area? That goes all the way up Pleasantdale Road, there's
With
no.
no curb cut.
There's no curb cut showing that existing driveway goes out to Pleasantdale Road. Do you see that? Let me get up there and point it out. Oh, there's a lake. See, these all have curb cuts coming in here, 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 and here. This doesn't, this basically has an island and no driveway going out. That's what Britton's saying, and I somewhat agree with him, it doesn't show, how does this go out onto Pleasantdale?
Yeah, so if approved, I mean, that would be a
Condition.
Well,
condition,
hold
but-
on. My recommendation is if the board wants something added to these plans, to do it before approval, to make sure they're on the plans before you approve the plan.
Yeah, I'll agree.
Okay.
Because you're gonna put the date of the approved plan into your decision.
Correct.
I'm not a big fan of saying, well, we're
No,
approving,
no,
then
no.
you have to add it after the fact.
100% with you, John.
Okay.
All right.
And these are not major changes, these are just pretty easy, but let's just make sure it's right. And then, so if what the applicant is presenting, I think there needs to be a delineation of what's existing versus what they're proposing in regards to this overall site plan. Because right now, if you were to endorse this plan, there's no limitation other than what we could try to put in there as far as language goes, but what he could use and what he couldn't use for the existing driveways.
Cause the locus norm in Britain, if you look at that locus on the town,
It's the whole thing.
it's a whole piece of property.
Correct.
Oh.
See what I'm getting at?
So now the whole property is subject to site plan review.
Yeah.
You're right, the whole site is subject to site plan review.
So is what we're saying, Julian can obviously redo this for me. So we want Julian to shade out anything that is not included in our site plan.
And or a delineation.
Yeah. And so anything like the outdoor displays, the existing building, the driveways, that landscaped area on Barre Paxton and Pleasantdale, that all should be, bubbled out, shaded out, whatever, indicating that that's what you're gonna use. Everything else, you don't have anything to do with.
Yeah, so what he's saying, yeah, I think he's saying the
So
same
everything
thing.
that's, sorry.
So, draw a line and say from here is
Something on the
not
plan
part
that
of that site
delineates
plan.
and or shades out.
Yeah.
Just because right now we would have to base our decision on what you presented as a plan.
So kind of straight and simple. Anything that is not included in my lease, you want
Correct.
shaded out so it's not on the plan.
And-
Yeah.
and
Your
Mark-
lease and or, I'm sorry, John.
No, that's okay.
And or what you're applying for. So if you were
I'm
to
applying to use.
if you were to utilize the other portion of the property in a way that wasn't approved tonight, that would be problematic.
And we're not allowed to.
So Mark, slow down just a sec. I'm gonna send you an email coming out of this meeting.
There you go.
Either tomorrow or the next day, depending on if it snows tonight or whatever, when they're in office. I'm gonna send you an email listing what needs to be added to these plans.
Perfect,
So, yeah.
There you go.
Excellent.
perfect.
So what I would recommend is you want the part that's not part of the site plan blocked off somehow to physically show that that's not subject to what's being approved.
I'll let Julian put lines in it.
Hold on.
Whatever we're not.
Please let me finish. Second thing is delineation that the driveway closest to the intersection coming off of 122 is going to be enter only, with signs on the site delineating that, either coming out saying do not enter, and then going off onto Pleasantdale, basically saying do not enter coming off of Pleasantdale, because it's gonna be exit only onto Pleasantdale,
And we need
correct?
the radius for the existing driveway to cut into that, call it landscaped area, cause that's right now it doesn't, it basically dead ends into that landscaped area.
That's a quick update.
Yeah, it's not that.
As far as the one-way comment goes, Sean, what I would, through the chair, is I would defer to the applicant. If that's best for him, meaning is that the direction that for his site and his business, is that the way he wants it to go, or is it the other way?
We feel that it's safer for the public if it's an enter on 122 and exit on Pleasantdale. Barre Paxton Road is a very high-speed road.
So they're just gonna, we're gonna wanna see some indication on the plan and where the signs are gonna be located for that. And just a small detail of the sign showing what the sign's gonna look
Good with
like,
that.
that's it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
that's it.
So I think that's the extent of any potential conditions.
And then the Board of Health one that, just.
I got that one in, yeah, I got
Yep,
that
yep,
in,
yep,
yeah.
that's it, that's all I got.
Okay, can we take down that?
Take down the plans, please.
Well, don't forget, cause there were some questions from the public, I think.
Oh, yeah,
I'll let Norm do.
Okay,
he told me to wait. He held up.
Yeah, to you, for you to be recognized by the chair.
Oh, Shirley Folio, 207 Pleasantdale. I have pictures that there are Christmas trees beyond, I can't see your area, the outdoor place, before the bus driveway. Now, is that gonna be allowed still? I mean, I took a picture
Let me
when
get
I
up
was
there, I'm gonna
pulling
point
out
out,
of
you tell me where they
Pleasantdale.
are. Are they,
I was trying
Are
to
they-
pull out of Pleasantdale and I
here?
couldn't see.
or are they here?
On the other side.
This side here?
On
No,
that
they're on
side.
the other side of the
If they're
drive.
on this side, that's what they're saying, that's where their
That's part of.
places are gonna be, that's part of their lease property, this whole thing right here. So this, we're saying is okay. Anything over here, we're saying is not okay.
Our property technically cuts off at the bus company's driveway. We are not allowed to go beyond that.
Okay, but I still, pulling out of Pleasantdale, I still can't see down 122 going into Paxton. I have pictures that I took
So,
because I was at the stop sign. So pulling out of Pleasantdale
Yep,
and.
So you're up here at the stop sign.
I'm at the stop sign and I'm trying to go that way. There were trees in the way. I
They
could
were
not
out.
see. Christmas trees, yes, because they had them there. And I had to pull out further into 122 to see down the road. So now there's gonna be more traffic there at the stop sign.
if I may, Mr. Chairman, I think I wanna,
I'll let you get up.
I wanna illustrate, I think, your point, ma'am.
Okay,
So, in my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had Christmas trees where obviously this is your property line, this is your easement, this is Route 122.
yes,
We
yeah,
had Christmas trees right up to the road.
correct.
Where the line of sight came up and the applicant had made a point is this, for this stop sign, the stop line is not here. It's actually back here.
Per order
So
of the
as you
police chief.
pull down Pleasantdale and you have to stop here and your vehicle is situated this direction, if this is covered by trees, you have a problem.
But you have to come out further even more because of the trees.
Well, so line of sight, MDOT's, standards. So if you go to the stop sign or
Yeah.
stop line.
Yeah.
And or both, depending on how well marked the intersection is, that is always going to be perpendicular to the road. This road is at a back angle. So as you pull up here, I agree with her point. If your vehicle is parked here and the stop line is here, and you're a driver, you have limited view this way already. If this is covered by trees, you have no view of oncoming traffic from the right on 122.
Right.
Is that correct?
Thank you,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
All right, that's what I was trying to get.
Yeah.
Which again, that's no problem and is addressed in your line of sight. If that's an issue with line of sight, that can easily be rectified and not installed there going forward.
And I think the best way to describe that is per the plan set, which I know you're gonna get us a different one with things removed, but John, for descriptional purposes, the south 23 degrees, 31 minute, 10-degree east line, no product will be placed closer to the road than that line that's presented.
Where's that? 23, all right,
That's your,
23,
you see the
31,
21065 on the outdoor display portion?
Okay, yep, that line, no closer than that,
I
yep.
think that would alleviate that situation, and or if that's not amenable, then you start getting into traffic studies, and I don't think anybody wants to do that.
So basically, we need to keep everything 10 feet off the road.
What that shows, I don't know if that's, I assume that's 10 feet, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no,
I think this is, through Norm, I think this is
What?
really simple.
30.
Everything stays in the outdoor display box.
yeah,
I think that's,
So those displays change by season though.
yeah, but everything can stay inside
Location
that
doesn't
box.
matter. It doesn't matter what the materials are.
Yeah.
It matters where the location is.
That's all I was saying. That way there'll be no line of sight issues. Everything stays inside that box. See where it says out, you've got that whole box right in front of the parking lot. It goes up to the,
Oh, it's pretty much from the fence back.
yes, correct.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah, that's all,
perfect.
that's all I'm saying.
I agree.
Okay, I'm good with that.
yeah.
And that would be, just like you said, the line of sight. So we'll keep that open.
Again, I'm not an MDOT engineer, so don't, I'm just saying I understand, I understand what was said as a public statement, I get that.
So we need to go back and see if there's any other public.
Can I just, Jen Forleo, 207 Pleasantdale. Can we just make it so it's on the inside of the fence? The only reason why, like, she took a picture and it actually has a really good view. I don't know if I can approach
The
and
Christmas
show you.
trees are on the other side of the fence,
Like at the stop,
not
This
within the
is-
fence.
like at the actual
Yep, stop line.
line.
I don't see a fence here on the applicant's site, so I can't
That's
reference
what
the fence through a photo.
The fence is on that line.
Yeah,
Well, then maybe we show that?
Fence needs to be added to the,
Yeah,
yep.
anything that's existing on this site that you're either gonna take down
yes, yeah.
or keep.
I would have those on the inside, Britton, cause that.
Okay, yeah, and that's just a post and rail, so
Yes,
that's,
yeah,
but,
that's it.
but if we notate that on the plan and Julian can update that, it makes it super easy. It's sort of a like.
Julian will do that for me.
Yeah, it's sort of a just, all right, here it is, that's the fence and that's where it's at, and we keep it on this side, we're good.
Yep, I think that's good.
Just my opinion.
Well, can we take down that plan?
There we go, we got some people's hands up.
Yes, okay.
Hers up
Let's
first.
start with Don Labelle.
You're on mute, Don.
She disappeared, oh, there she is. You're muted.
My apologies, it wouldn't populate. Don Labelle, 1833 Peddler Lutz. I wanted to bring up some info that might be pertinent to a lot of what the application and whatnot is that there is an LLC here that is the business and technical owner of this property, being the ex-wife of the property owner. And this LLC no longer exists. It was dissolved by the state 12/30/22. And there's been no, and on a side note, there've been no new tests submitted to the DEP. But just to let you know that 1941 Properties LLC does not exist at this moment.
I'm gonna. Does that lease mean anything? I guess is the lease through 1940?
No, the lease is through Howe's Country Market.
Okay.
So the owner, it's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah.
The owner, I mean, obviously that LLC has to exist and or be in good standing with the state, which means that things would have to be filed once a year to keep it in good standing. Maybe that's just the issue.
Well, the LLC.
But where does the tax go? Who's getting taxes? Who's paying taxes? Is it 1941?
Well, because the application says the owner is Ken Labelle. According to the records I saw, Ken Labelle is a manager of 1941 Properties LLC, which no longer exists, so.
Well, that we know, that we're being told.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
so-
supposedly no longer exists, so that calls into question who owns the property.
May I share a screen?
That's up to the chairman.
Yes.
Okay, let me get it up. Bear with me. And this is as of just a little while ago. Back up.
This can load deeper than.
Bear with me.
I mean, it's 165 Pleasantdale Road.
Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's go on. Look at that now.
Oh, that's better. Well, don't zoom in,
Sorry.
you're losing some of it.
Yeah.
My apologies. Let me
Okay.
back down. I forgot when I changed it. It changes for you.
Stop.
Right there.
good.
So
I
that's
did.
involuntary. But, and this is through the chair, as long as Howe's has a lease agreement with the property owner, I'm not so worried about the company, the person who owns the property, I'm okay with that from the planning board's perspective. I'm not worried about the corporation, it's just, how is the property?
Who is the property owner?
That's what I was getting at, Norm.
Yeah, I believe it's 1941.
Our assessor's record still shows 1941 Properties LLC.
Okay, well, that's something I don't know how to fix.
Well,
That's,
that has
that's
to be
out of our
yeah, that's.
jurisdiction, because we don't have any control over the assessor.
No.
I don't know how to proceed with this one.
So our lease is with Ken Labelle,
Yep.
the property owner, former owner of whatever LLC. Our lease is with the property owner. The property has to be owned by someone. If the LLC is no longer, has been discontinued, property ownership would go to former owner of the LLC.
The owner shows on GIS updated 1941 Properties LLC, 217 Barre Paxton Road. And that's who's still paying the taxes on it. Lot 2, Block A, map 13.
Okay.
So the LLC may or may not be in good standing with the state. I would have to completely defer that to the assessor or town council on the validity of ownership of the lot, because where we would get into, and I'm not an attorney, but where we get into a dicey situation is we approve you to do business here, but then I guess it would actually kind of fall more on you if you have a lease that's void with a company that is either in default or
So
not
we're
shown
actually
as
not
owner.
concerned about that because we're in the process of looking at buying the whole property.
But for today, for here, for
But
now,
we're just not,
that's,
if our lease is void down the road, again, that's
But
us problem and we're not.
No, Mark, what they're trying to decide is if they can go forward with this application.
I don't, and I gotta be honest with you guys, I don't know that
I don't
we
think
have enough information here to render that decision today.
So would the board want me to reach out to the assessor, get some kind of, ask for some kind of evidence that he's actually the owner of the property?
I think that's yeah.
We're coming back to the next meeting to sign everything in.
Right, exactly, so it's gotta.
Let's get that stuff done.
So Ken Labelle cannot come to the meeting, the owner of the property, due to a restraining order that the wife has on him. And the Rutland Police Department could not assure him that that wouldn't be a violation of his rights of being here. Being here.
Excuse me, can someone mute themselves? We have a lot of noise in the background.
So it's very tough for us to get Ken Labelle here because of the existing restraining order. He went to the police department and spoke to them yesterday, and they could not assure him
That he would be okay.
that if he showed up here and a party of the restraining order was on Skype, Zoom, that it wouldn't be a violation of his, which is kind of where we're running into issues why we had to do him signing this waiver.
John, can you ask them to mute?
Excuse me, someone has a lot of noise in the background. Could you please mute yourself? There's a lot of talking in the background by somebody.
Ms. Labelle?
I'm trying to shut it off.
I believe.
Norm,
I'm trying.
I was gonna say, from like what Britton had said, if we just get the assessor to say, is everything copacetic with that piece of property? That's all I care about.
That's where our.
So we've already gotten a letter stating that taxes are up to date, paid, that's in the file. Ken Labelle has paid the taxes, all
You've got
properties.
that, John, I
taxes
feel.
are
Hold on,
up to
hold
date.
on.
Hang on.
Slow down.
Yep. We're all on the same
It
page.
just says that, please be advised that as today, all taxes for 217 Barre Paxton Road have been paid and there are no outstanding issues. It doesn't verify who owns it or who paid the taxes. I think that's what we're looking for.
And I think for the planning board purposes, and I'll defer to you gentlemen and John and maybe town council, because we're gonna have to come back with a new plan anyways. I think it would be prudent to verify that, A, who owns the lot. I assume they're in good standing, but to be honest with you, I don't even know that that's our purview.
Yeah, that's what I was.
I think if this entity is null and void, but the applicant has a legal lease and contract in front of us, I don't think that we have any well, this is just one man. I don't think we have responsibility to make sure that his lease is legal and valid. I don't know
No,
that that's
it's not
our
the lease,
responsibility.
but we have an application signed by a property owner that we're not sure is the
In
actual
that
property
case,
owner.
absolutely, you're right.
That's
You're
what I'm getting at,
absolutely
yeah.
correct. But I think the dynamic of whether or not this LLC is in good standing,
Correct.
that has no bearing.
No.
It shouldn't have bearing on our decision. But again, it should be, we should have whoever's signatures is on the application should be the legal and lawful owner and the applicant. And that's MGL, that is what it is.
Yeah.
So
So
I
that's
think
what I wanna
that's
find
where
out.
our responsibility would stop.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't wanna go into the lease, who owns it, all I wanna know is that application is signed by the property owner, and that's all I care about.
Correct.
So basically, we're gonna continue this on, you want me to adjust the site plan a bit?
Yep,
And you'll find out about
Yeah, we'll do all that.
property owners and stuff like that
Yep.
for the next meeting.
Yep.
Correct.
That sounds great.
It should be pretty straightforward.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Leah?
Thank you. Leah Whiteman, 208 East County Road. I think you guys touched on it briefly, but I just wanted to reiterate because I believe it was a concern of some residents at the previous public hearing about the water source and the purity of the well watering, especially the vegetable plants, and that communication to the Board of Health and to the public. I just wanted to reiterate from a public perspective that that's a big concern, the potable water situation.
And through the chair, I think that's where we're gonna cover it with the Board of Health condition on the site plan. I think, Leah, I think that'll cover us as long as we get the Board of Health sign off on this, site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. And if I may, sorry, maybe it's also better for the public to also voice their concerns or considerations to the Board of Health as well. But I just wanted to make sure that in the public meeting tonight, it was also mentioned because I know it was brought up at your meeting 2 weeks ago during the hearing as well. And so I don't want that piece to fall off the radar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone else?
I will make a motion to continue the hearing to February 11th.
I'll second said motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next item.
Item 6, I'm not ready to discuss because again, we don't have a full board. I would rather wait and have everyone a chance to review. I do have verification from town council. These do reflect their comments, and we have an email from Kevin Quinn saying he's okay with them. But again, we only have 3 out of 5 members. I don't really want to take a vote to move this forward to the select board until we have a full board. Because it's important.
Anybody comments or?
I do, but I'll reserve until we have the full board.
I have a couple, but. Okay. Then, next we have discussion of battery energy storage bylaw and the next subcommittee meeting.
So, I did reach out to Tom Corbett, after the holidays to get the latest and greatest version of this bylaw, clean version. He had some family things going on, so I have not gotten that from him yet. I believe in talking to Tim that this bylaw is probably 98% done.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned about it, but, I would like to see if the board would like to schedule a bylaw subcommittee meeting, in February to go over this. I also hope to have a draft, model floodplain bylaw and also start working on the accessory dwelling unit as well, bylaw.
Do we? Oh, sorry. Open for comment? Okay, do we wanna do all of that at the same, is that the projected?
Yeah, all in
thought?
May, yeah.
All, okay.
Yeah. Cause the ADU
So we
would
need
have
to, we need to
deal
get
with-
that under bylaw subcommittee review
Yes,
ASAP,
yes. We already opened up a public hearing.
but we haven't voted.
We already opened up a public hearing on the ADU, but it's continuing.
And from the battery, we basically got to the point last year, and this was right after the town meeting, or before it, but we weren't ready to get a hearing put together, that we had it ready to go. We were gonna put it at the fall town meeting, but it was advised not to do it. So this thing's drug on about 8 months, it's done. There's just a few cleanups.
Right.
And that's it. So, I don't know, do we want to put it as like a last topic? I can open up the same thing on February 11th. I don't know what February 11th, do we have a lot on the agenda?
Not right now. We have a public hearing for a common driveway for, site plan review for 377 East
I think it's
County.
better that we're all in the same place at the same time instead of trying to do two different meetings and schedule.
Yeah, so let's do a joint meeting on the 11th.
Correct.
We have a light agenda.
And I would ask anybody to look at this draft. I've only got 2 comments in here, and everything else looks good. And I'd like to, basically, if it's good, send it to the planning board on February 11th with any comments. And then schedule a hearing and get this thing rolling, so we'll have it ready to go for May.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, but the other thing I was gonna ask, the ADU, John, is there any, are we just in a holding pattern until we figure out what the state's gonna do?
Well, no, I'm gonna put a draft together that I think will satisfy them and protect the town, so that's in process. I'll
Okay,
have that.
good enough.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of towns coming to bat for that, like, they're
Yeah.
really fighting back, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing's gone anywhere yet, but
Yeah.
it'd be interesting.
I think there's a way we can craft something. I mean, like we said, I think that there's not a problem with the single ADUs. Allowing those by site plan review is not a problem. I think what towns are having a trouble with is the multiple ADUs in single-family residential and the allowance of those, and the fact that there's, the best you could do is special permit. So it's a tricky thing.
It's also an infrastructure question. A lot of
Yes.
towns have pushed back on town sewer.
Yeah.
And the loads, and how do you mitigate that through charging, making sure that when these permits are pulled, which are still by right, so you can't single them out and say, well, for an ADU, you have to pay more
Correct.
than a single-family home with a 5-bedroom. So there's a lot of back and forth, and, we
This
wanna
was-
be ahead of it. We know it's coming. It's gonna happen, but
But it was.
we should keep our ear to the ground, so to speak, because there's a lot of towns that are bringing to light a lot of significant major financial issues
But
with
as
that.
of February 2nd, whatever they have in place that doesn't comply with the state is null and void. So that's why we had to get this public hearing open, so we do have to deal with it.
Agreed, yeah.
And that's the thing, that's the problem a lot of towns are having, and this was just dropped in everybody's laps with a very tight deadline around the holidays with no time to adjust, so.
And the other thing, Fred, we see that some of the towns on the 128 and 495 belt is, we have well and septic. We have to worry about too, with these ADUs, and most of those are town sewer, town water, so.
Yeah.
And we have a completely different animal to fight.
Yeah.
So anyhow, that's it.
Okay, correspondence from Kevin Quinn regarding the road acceptance policy.
Kevin's was short and sweet.
I would like to read this memo to the board because this was made so public at the last meeting. I feel like I would like to respond publicly. So,
Locking us in.
at the end of the last meeting, there was some question as far as the legality of the procedure that I put in place requiring approval not required plans to be submitted to my office before they go to the town clerk, to make sure that they're complete before they get stamped in the 21-day period initiated to act. So, the memo, there have been questions regarding the legality of the recently approved changes to the application procedures for approval not required submissions that require applications to be submitted to the planning department prior to being filed with the town clerk. There's also been speculation that it violates Mass General laws. I submitted an inquiry to town council as requested by the planning board chair, and I'm awaiting a response. In the meantime, I sent a query to the planners listserv for examples of communities that have a similar procedure and attached are the results. They are as follows. The City of Fall River requires submission to the Department of Engineering and Planning and explicitly states that the submission will not be stamped by the city clerk's office until such time as it has been reviewed and deemed complete by the planning office. The Town of Groveland requires submission to staff for review to ensure it meets all submission requirements prior to being stamped by the town clerk. Town of Wilmington requires submission to the planning board and requires a review by the Director of Planning and Conservation before the time for action begins. The Town of Millbury requires submission to the Department of Planning and Development with notification of filing provided to the town clerk thereafter. The Town of Wareham requires submission to the Planning Department and is not placed on the planning board's agenda until it is deemed complete. This is a change from when I worked in Wareham from 2010 to 2013, when applicants would bring A&R applications directly to planning board meetings without any review and drop it on the table and say, here's an A&R. So they've changed their policies in recent years. The City of Westfield requires submission to the planning board with notice sent to the city clerk of the submission to the planning board thereafter. The Town of Sutton requires submission to the planning board. The City of New Bedford requires submission to the Department of City Planning and also requires a preliminary review with staff before submission. The director actually has the authority to endorse A&Rs in New Bedford. The Town of Chelmsford requires submission to the planning board with notification to the town clerk to notify that office of the submission. Finally, the Town of Southborough requires a pre-application meeting with the town planner for completeness. Once complete, the formal submission is made to the town planner. Therefore, here's about over a dozen different communities that have the procedure in place, if not a little bit stricter. In addition, I spoke with a colleague that I've known for approximately 18 years. She is a former land use attorney who worked as such for 35 years before becoming the planning director in Medway. She was actually part of town council for Framingham for years, Petrani and Associates. She confirmed that the procedure is not a violation of Mass General law. In addition, I received the following feedback from Amy Questle of town council. Additionally, with regard to subdivision approval, not required plans, in my opinion, a pre-application review is beneficial because the filing of plans is dictated by the statute in MGL 81, section 81T. Actually, it's chapter 41, section 81T, that's a typo. File with the town clerk, a planning board office with notice to the town clerk. Again, in my opinion, the statute must be considered to avoid constructive approval. Given the slightly vague nature of the response, I followed up with a phone conversation on the morning of January 21st. She confirmed that the procedure is not a violation of MGL, and she offered guidance on the proper way to handle an incomplete A&R in order to avoid potential constructive approval. So that's,
I'm fine with that.
yep. So we
honestly,
are absolutely not in violation of Mass General law by having applicants do this.
And through the chair, I swore, and again, I'm swearing because I think I remember this, before John came on board, David had tried to do something similar to that by having all the A&Rs come to him. He reviews them, makes sure they're complete, and then send them over to Anita to get stamped, if I remember that correctly.
And I'm not saying so much A&Rs, but certainly any special permits, site plan reviews, all of that, definitely put all of that in place.
I thought he was trying to do that with A&Rs because we were trying to avoid the showing up on Monday night before the Tuesday meeting.
And the other thing that makes A&Rs tricky is, first of all the easy land to develop is gone. And a lot of these A&Rs are in questionable areas now, and engineers are definitely getting creative with them. And so, A&Rs are actually pose a big issue for communities because the scope of review for the planning board is so limited.
Yeah.
But, so it's essential to make sure that these are actually A&Rs and can be endorsed as A&Rs.
And this is through Norm, before your time, John, when we had the growth management, that was, and this is my opinion, the way to get around the subdivision was A&R everything.
Yes.
Because we don't have, the growth management was, if I remember right, was the A&Rs were thrown out in court as considered part of the growth management. So our developers were A&R and everything.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing-
like to your point,
right.
it was creative.
The other thing I'd like to mention about what happened at the last meeting and at the end of the meeting is when we discussed putting time on at the end of an agenda for public comment, this is exactly the type of scenario that concerned board members, is that certain people would come to meetings and utilize public comment at the end to, and we actually, the board actually approved meeting decorum policies for not attacking planning, staff or planning board members.
Yep.
Being respectful. I feel what happened at the other last meeting was a violation of the open meeting law personally, because he discussed a plan that was not submitted to the planning board. No public had no one had any chance to see it. He was talking about something that nobody knew about, and I feel like that was exactly the type of thing that the planning board did not want to happen. Someone coming in and taking advantage of public comment to have a bully pulpit. And I feel that that's what happened, and I'm concerned about that.
Okay.
In regards to the I mean, this is, and I can tell you, and I mean, not to belabor it, but every jurisdiction, every town that I work in, your first stop is the planning board. There's no like, oh yeah, just slap it on the desk and get it approved. I mean, there's no town that I've worked in does that.
Yeah, and there is a risk to that, because in fairness to the town clerk, they don't review the applications for completeness.
All they're doing is stamping
It's
at
not
the
their
time.
role, but it's dangerous when you put the stamp on it, because according to law, that starts the clock.
Yeah, the clock started, and if there's an issue now, it's, yeah.
And based on what I'm reading, what you put out there, John, Amy's saying that having a policy to go to the staff first and have it reviewed, make sure it's complete, then send it over the clerk
Correct.
is within Mass General Law.
Oh, yeah, and it's beneficial.
Okay.
And it's beneficial to the applicant.
Well, it's a two-way beneficial, the town and the applicant. We're sort of using staff time to help them make sure they have a complete document. Okay, good enough.
Okay, well, town planning report, upcoming public hearing.
Yeah, we do have a public hearing on the 11th for the special site plan review for the 377 East County Road Common Driveway. We're also most likely gonna have a public hearing on the 25th for the estate lot special permits for that Emerald and Welch property. And on the next agenda at the beginning, we are gonna have a discussion about the email that came in from Quinn Engineering regarding the Brittenell, was it Bryce Lemon Estates and one of the crossings. So don't wanna start discussing it now, but Kevin Quinn is gonna be in attendance at our next meeting, and so is Clee, so we can discuss that.
Not to get into any details, but because it involves the Conservation Commission, should we have a representative from there so we can know what's in their ballpark and what's in ours?
I don't know. I think Kevin Quinn's advice was that the planning board wait to accept any amended plans until he gets done with the state and
It's in
Concom.
Concom's hands now.
Well, that's all, I just wanna make sure that we're not getting ahead of them, let them do their job and then come to us.
So to that point, my question is, what are we reviewing on the 11th?
We're not reviewing anything right now.
Okay.
What we're doing is we're getting apprised of the situation, having Kevin Quinn a chance to explain, have Clea a chance to explain. But the guidance has been from Kevin Quinn that the planning board is doing nothing right now other than monitoring the situation. He's keeping an eye on it, and once they have the changes, once they know the scope of the changes, then they can present a field change plan to the planning board for approval.
But, so for us, it's a non-actionable hearing?
Correct. It's not even a hearing, it's just a discussion.
It's an informational session?
Correct, yes.
And I don't wanna get into details, but if somebody's not following the plan, they need shut down. That's my point.
So again, let's wait until we discuss this at the next meeting. I don't want, we haven't gotten there yet.
All right, well, if it's in and we can't take it out,
Well, hold on, no, just, let's.
I'm tired of this.
Let's not jump to conclusions. Kevin Quinn sent out an email, Clee replied claiming he got bad information, blah, blah, so. Let them speak for it.
Yeah, all right, good enough.
Fair enough.
Okay, any other discussions?
Public,
Any public comments? You got less than 10 minutes. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to close the planning board meeting tonight.
Bylaws subcommittee, do you wanna do that first?
Yes, I apologize,
Well,
thanks.
parentheses, you gotta do the.
Parentheses, yeah.
You gotta do that meeting within this meeting.
I guess the chairman will ask if there's any more comments from the bylaw subcommittee. If not, I'll take a motion to close the bylaw subcommittee.
I'll make a motion to close the bylaw subcommittee for January 28th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Vote please.
Aye.
Aye.
That'll be 3 ayes, closed.
And
Then I'll make a motion to close the planning board meeting of January 28th.
I shall second said motion.
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
All right, we're done.